everybody, welcome to another edition of Beer 30 Beer Reviews with me, your host, Big Dub. Today, as you can probably guess, we are talking about barrel aging beers. I got two very special beers in front of me, as well as this bad boy that we have added to the collection. It is a Heaven Hills bourbon barrel that I did get from a local brewery, Microphone Brewery. They use it for one of their beers as well. So you might find that at a lot of breweries. Once they have used the barrel, they might sell it out, and if you want it, add it to your collection, or if you ever want to actually use one, go for it. And that's kind of what we'll talk about. The beer sitting in front of me we have today is a bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout from Acre. It's their double benthic. It's with 3-time toasted coconut, 2-time coffee, and then one that probably everyone knows, Goose Island's bourbon barrel stouts that they do. This is a variation all the way back from 2018. It is their Grand Midnight Orange Stout. So looking forward to giving that a try as well. But when aging your beer in a barrel, the beer will really absorb a lot of the flavors that have been in there. You know, that comes with it. You get the variations of chocolate, you get the variation coffee, vanilla. Presents itself because it's pulling it out of the wood and all the flavors that have been in there before. So you're going to get a lot of the spirit flavors that have been sitting inside there as well. So if it's coming from a rum barrel, a bourbon barrel, whiskey barrel, even wine barrels, that's going to come out. Big thing to think about though, there's really 5 things when it comes to barrel aging. The beer style itself, the barrel type, the size of the barrel, time and temperature that you let it sit and store and absorb all those flavors, and lastly is racking it and then bottling it afterwards. So beer style, generally, as you can see here, it's more barrel aging is best suited for beers that are higher alcohol content. So think of your stronger flavors that can come in from it. So you think of your stouts, your strong ale, your strong ales, your doubles, anything like that. That's typically what you're going to find, but that doesn't mean not every beer style can be barrel aged. Actually, at this year's FOBAB Festival of Barrel Aged Beers, a cider actually won this year. So there is lighter beers that can be stored in barrels and brought out flavors. So don't think of it just always as your dark, heavy alcohol content. So let's start with the Acre double benthic here, coming in at 13.7%. So this is definitely one of those higher alcohol content style beers. Seeing if we can pull out that coconut on the nose and the coffee on the nose. You can see that nice dark heavy pour that you'd expect with a beer like this. So light foaminess on the top there. Man, smells like a chocolate milk almost. With the coconut and vanilla coming in at the back end, but it's very sweet smelling. It doesn't have that overpowering coffee smell that some stouts do give you. Ooh, that is really good. The vanilla sits right there. The coconut sits there. And then on the back end, you get a little bit of the bourbon that you would expect pulling out of the barrel. So it starts really actually pretty sweet up front. And then the flavors start really kicking in. That coconut and that coffee flavor. A little bit of vanilla. And then that bourbon punches you at the end. Has a very smooth transition from each. I really do like that. Go in for another one. When drinking something like this, just let it sit on your palate. Let your taste buds really enjoy all the complexity that it has to offer. That is outstanding. Going to go, man, it's hard, but I'm going to go 9 out of 10. That was as close to a 10 as I can get. Delicious. So yeah, 9 out of 10 on that one. Going back to it, the barrel type. Most barrels used in the U.S. are oak barrels. It's the most readily available to buy. It seems like it's the easiest to get. If your barrel is new, you may want to treat it. Make sure it's cleaned out perfectly. You don't want anything from the making process to be in there when you go put the beer in it itself. Now, if you get a used one, you may not need to clean it. If you're using a freshly emptied barrel, cleaning is usually not necessary thanks to the sterilizing efforts and effects of the alcohol that was already in the barrel. So you most likely won't have to clean it if it's freshly used. The alcohol content that was in it is already taking care of that for you. Size-wise, The size really matters because of how long it needs to sit in there, how long it's going to grab all the flavors out of each side of the barrel itself. Normally you see smaller barrels, about 5 gallon is a typical one for a used barrel. There's even smaller ones that can come in like 1 liter. But like I said, you want to keep in mind the smaller the barrel, the faster the basic wood and spirit flavors are going to be absorbed and come out of the barrel itself. So that really plays a big factor in how much you want to make, how long you want it to sit, and how strong you want those flavors. So think of the barrel size when you are going to do a project yourself with it. Moving to Goose Islands. This one is stout, aged in bourbon barrels with orange peel and cocoa nibs. So what's nice too with beers like this, they can sit, they can store. As long as you store them in the proper temperature, they will keep for quite a while. So you don't have to drink them right away. I have a couple from 2020 that I'm going to let sit and enjoy for a couple years, see how they mature, and see if the flavors change at all. So this is from 2018. I definitely get the cocoa, the chocolate right on the nose, not pulling any of the orange out of the nose yet. Not much of the orange either on the flavor. I'm definitely getting the cocoa nibs though. Has a nice strong chocolate flavor. And then some hints of that coffee flavor that you kind of expect coming out of the barrel. And then the bourbon slightly at the end. It doesn't have as much complexity as this. The transitions don't flow as well as this one. And I'm not really getting the orange. I was hoping to get a little bit of that orange in there. Yeah, still not finding the orange. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad drink at all. It's a delicious beer, but it's nowhere as complex and advanced as this one seems to be. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 on that one. Now, going back to a couple other things we talked about when it comes to putting beers in barrels like this. Time and temperature that you want to store it at, how long you want to keep it. Those are the 2 very important questions you do need to ask yourself. How long should it age your beer, and at what temperature? If you just want mostly bourbon and wood notes, aging for about 1 to 2 months is generally what you're looking for. That's normally about enough time. But if you really want some of the floral and deep vanilla notes of the barrel, you want to age it for longer periods, something like 6 to 12 months. So you'll see some barrel programs that use the barrel. 2 months later, the beer's kind of flowing and coming out. You'll see some that'll keep it stored for 12 months, 18 months, sometimes 2 years. It all depends on the flavor notes that you want to pull out of it. So if you want those deep vanilla, floral aspects, let it sit in there longer. Let it really seep into the sides, seep into the wood, and then when it comes back out, let it pull those flavors out of the wood, because that's what it's doing while it's sitting in there. If you don't give enough time, it just kind of rubs up against it, gets a little bit of it, but you want it to pull everything that it can from the wood, from the spirits, and everything else that's been sitting in there prior. And that's kind of what most beers will do. Lastly, racking and bottling. Before bottling your finished barrel-aged beer, be sure to transfer or rack the beer from the barrel into a clean vessel and let it sit for a couple days. You just want to make sure this will allow any heavy wood particles or sediment that may have come into the beer from sitting in there to kind of float to the bottom, so you can get that out of the beer itself. You don't want to just pour it straight from the barrel and then start bottling that way. You want to make sure that you get everything out of there that would affect the beer itself. So hopefully that helps you understand kind of the process with it. Go look at your local brewery, see if they're selling any barrels, but don't be scared to try the barrel-aged stuff, especially this time of year. It's very popular. Some of the stuff is very hard to get, and a lot of it can be pretty expensive, but that's because of the higher content and the time and effort it really does take to make those. So if you have any questions, feel free, comment below. Let me know your favorite barrel-aged beers. Please subscribe, like. Until next time, cheers.